But first, the latest drama involving the Octomom, Nadia Suleiman. In an online video, Suleiman says she fired volunteer nurses because they were unprofessional and setting her up to fail. Gloria Allred is the attorney for Angels in Waiting. We're going to talk to her in just a moment. But first, NBC's Michael Oku has details.
Just days after Nadia Suleiman fired the volunteer nurses who were providing her kids with free round-the-clock care, the story with seemingly no end got even more bizarre. Suleiman explained the firing to RadarOnline.com, saying the nurses were secretive, unprofessional, charging the founder of their charity, Angels in Waiting, with making repeated threats that the babies were going to be abducted.
My nanny informed me after the fact that on her way out, she opened her purse and said, look, one of the babies would fit just perfectly in my purse. And I almost threw up.
Patients seem to wear thin between Suleiman and Angels from the beginning. The charity offered Suleiman help 24 days after the famous delivery, but waited more than 2 weeks for a response. In the interim, Angels' lawyer Gloria Allred filed a complaint against Suleiman with child welfare officials, seeking a probe into whether Suleiman's previous home was suitable for 14 kids. Phil McGraw ultimately arranged a deal with the Angels, but today, although you'll only hear Suleiman's voice,
I did feel like a stranger in my own home. I felt ostracized and I felt excluded.
The acrimony's in full view on Dr. Phil's set, with Suleiman's lawyer sparring with the charity's founder.
How can I talk to Nadia when she's up in her bedroom reading 200 letters versus coming down feeding her babies?
Just take a couple shots and leave. Let us have, privacy.
Angel officials say for all her complaints about the paparazzi,
we're going to live life in a prison.
Suleiman is stoking the fire, allowing Radar Online cameras to capture squabbles with her mom.
I got a ride from somebody, and I will never come back, lady.
To have access to the nursery, creating chaos where the babies should have quiet. Angel nurses admit they've reported Suleiman to child services at least 3 times. Suleiman says she can't feel like she's being spied on in her own home, and even had her own nanny call 911.
Yes, I'd like to have somebody removed from the home that I'm at right now. Who is it? Gloria Allred.
For now, the children are under Nadia's care and an unspecified number of private nannies. Officials at the hospital where the octuplets were born say they've sent nurses to provide training and guidance to Suleiman and her nannies at least twice now. Standard practice, they say, in cases of high-order multiple births.
This is Isaiah and Malia and Noah and Nariah.
4 tiny octuplets now home and 4 more to go. 58 days old, but already a lifetime of drama. For today, Michael Oku, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Gloria Allred is in Los Angeles this morning. Gloria, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Good morning, Lester.
We'll get to that 911 call in a moment, but let me get you to respond to Suleiman's charges that Angels in Waiting folks were unprofessional. The group's founder was talking about the babies might be kidnapped. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, Nadia, unfortunately, is taking things out of context, and I think she knows that, Lester, because that whole issue is an issue of security. And our nurses were rightfully concerned about security. After all, Nadia had told the world where she lives. She told the world when those babies were coming home. As a result, hundreds of reporters came. Where her home is easily locatable on the Internet as a result of her doing these daily blogs. And there were, in fact, 2 intruders on 2 different nights who came onto the property. And in one case, she had one of our nannies call 911 to report the intruder, because, not that call that you just played, but another, because she was concerned that she had done too many 911 calls. And then I sent an email to the attorney saying, please provide security. There's been an intruder. And he didn't respond to me, and instead another intruder came the next night. Then a nanny came onto the property without showing any identification. The nanny herself indicated to our nurse that the baby could be abducted. She could have walked out with the baby in her purse. And Linda, the nurse, tried to talk to Nadia about that and say, look, we need security here for these babies, and yet instead of providing security, she puts in her own jacuzzi, an expensive jacuzzi, instead of hiring a security guard.
Gloria, one of the issues is that she believes that the angels in waiting were essentially acting as de facto agents for child welfare officials. Were they, in fact, making reports to the authorities, and if so, what were the nature of those reports?
Yes, Lester. As a matter of fact, nurses are mandated reporters under the law. And that means that if a nurse sees that a baby or a child is endangered, neglected, abused, or in any way potentially harmed, at risk of great harm, they are legally required to report that to authorities.
Has there been anything that fits that criteria?
In the nurses' view, yes, and that is why they have filed not one, but 3 reports. And Lester, they wanted Nadia to succeed. But how can she succeed if she is subjecting her babies to potential risks of harm, if she doesn't even come into the nursery to feed her own babies, to hold them, to bathe them, to change them, to love them, to bond with them, except when the cameras are rolling? They're only a few hours beyond the time the cameras are rolling that she actually came into the nursery and was there to care for her baby.
All right, Gloria, let me ask you now about that 911 call in which someone called and wanted you out of the house. Can you describe what that was about?
Yes, Lester. That was a call by one of Nadia's nannies on the night that the babies came home. I was there in order to protect my nurses in a very high-risk situation so that they could do their job in caring for the babies who were to arrive. And as it turns out, the nurses were very glad that I was there because it was a dangerous situation, a situation that was out of control inside the house as well as outside of the house. And apparently some media in the house that had a contract with Nadia encouraged this nanny to call. But when the police came, this nanny denied to the police that she had called. And then Nadia later on in the evening said, she apologized to me. She said, Gloria, of course I do want you here. I'm sorry for any confusion. Please stay. And I did stay until about 1:30 that evening.
All right. Listen, Gloria Allred, we appreciate you coming on and telling your side of the story. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.